footy journos here. I'm looking very small in the middle of these two here.
Just the
angles, isn't it? All these big coats. Me and Jordan trying to fit in, looking like Northeast 17 here. Yeah. Little joke for you guys.
I haven't heard that one before.
No. Right. What more can I say about this team? Like, adversity, injuries, just everything. Poor refereeing decisions. We'll come on to all of that. You know, they just keep producing performances, incredible performances, and getting incredible results. A season of amazing results. 8-0 at Sheffield United, Man City, Arsenal, Paris Saint-Germain, all put to the sword here. Wins at Old Trafford, second time since the 70s. Just keeps getting better and better. Look, they might not be as high up as anybody hoped. They might have dropped points here and there, as teams do when they're playing at the intensity level Newcastle having to at the moment. But they just keep getting these results done, and it doesn't really show any signs of tailing off, because bring on the big occasion, this team is really starting to stand up.
Yeah, it's incredible. We're in November and Newcastle have already, like you say, Liam, they've beaten PSG 4-1, they've beaten Man City, beaten Man United, beaten Arsenal. If you said Villa as well, but if you'd said those 4 teams by November you would have won, and you would have scored 9 goals and conceded 1 in those 4 games, amazing. And the fact Newcastle have backed that up with the likes of big results against Villa, Crystal Palace, Sheffield United, as you mentioned. But today, yeah, as we spoke about on the live stream, it was a tense day. It was a fiery day. It wasn't a game high on quality, but it was a game high on events and action and controversy as well, it's fair to say.
Yeah, we'll come on to the controversy in a bit. Jordan, it was, as Dom said, it was probably one for the purists, and I wouldn't say Arsenal or Newcastle United for that matter really looked like almost Premier League contenders in that game. A sort of final third, a lack of quality, and it was a game decided on the finest of margins. But that's kind of the pantheon that Newcastle United are in now, isn't it? They're fighting with the teams at the very top on all levels, whether that be the League Cup, Carabao for the sponsors out there, Champions League and the Premier League. They're up right at the top end, and they're playing at some intensity.
They are, and they're showing different ways to win. So the blue teams were this season, they blew Aston Villa away, PSG, Sheffield United, even Man United in midweek, they blew them away as well. But today they didn't blow Arsenal away, but what they did show was Arsenal came out for game plan. I think Arsenal wanted to be nasty. I think they wanted to get in the faces of Newcastle, but I thought Newcastle rose to the occasion. I thought Newcastle were nastier. I thought that was epitomised by the midfielders, Bruno Guimaraes in particular. What he showed today, it wasn't a typical Bruno performance, a sort of the Brazilian class, but he certainly rose to the physical battle in midfield, and as I say, got right in the Arsenal's faces, perhaps maybe lucky not to be sent off, but it just shows that how committed he was. And you know, the two players alongside him, Sean Longstaff, you know, we spoke about him on our live stream, runs forever, doesn't he? You see, I think you made the point during the game, like the first minute he runs, it's the same in the last minute. He's got an everlasting engine.
Yeah.
And Joe Linton as well, back to his best after a really stop-start.
Yeah. No, that's fair, Jordan. He has had a tough start.
Injuries though, I know it's took him a while to get going, but he now has put in 2 excellent performances against obviously 2 very good teams as well. But see, I named the midfield there. The back 4 again today epitomised a lot. Worked really hard. Jamal Lascelles, criticism he gets at times, you can't criticise him today. Can't criticise him at all. Really okay. He's not the greatest defender in the world, but he's came in the absence of Sven Botman, which could have been, it could have left Newcastle in not a horrendous position, but a difficult position, because Sven Botman is a quality footballer, but they almost haven't felt the loss of Sven Botman because of Jamal Lascelles, and that goes for people in midweek as well. It's a real squad game at the minute. You know, you've got. We've had questions about the 8 changes in midweek. You've got Emil Kraft and Paul Dunlop being sent off. There's not one player that's let Newcastle down this season. So I just think it shows overall what a squad they've got, and the spirit in the squad, the fighting spirit they've got, and that showed today. That game was about fighting spirit and who wanted it more, and I thought Newcastle showed that.
There's not many teams in the top 6, 7, 8 of the Premier League would want Newcastle United's squad. There's big question marks about a lot of it. A lot of it fought relegation, some of it gained promotion. It's had its struggles along the way, but all of them have stood up today. And you mentioned a couple of names there. Joe Linton was the midfield monster everybody knows he can be on Wednesday, and again he was today. Maybe not as much in the first half, but when they needed somebody to really stand up, cover on this right hand side, give Tino Livramento a bit of safety in front of him, he was excellent. Won everything in the air, won everything on the floor, and just what we need. Bruno led from the front. I thought he really epitomised the team's performance with his tracking and his battling. When Arsenal got dirty, Bruno got a little bit dirtier, and we'll probably come on to one of those things. But even I quite like some of that, you know. I like I'm not talking about the foul play necessarily, the little shove in the back and the little bit, you know, there was a lot of that. There was a lot of that. Yeah, there was a lot of that in the game, and the referee set the bar, and we'll come on to that. Jamal Lascelles is the other one I want to mention, and Jordan, you really summed it up there. Sven Botman was signed as the player to uplift a back four which had largely flitted in and around the relegation places, the two centre halves. You can go back 5 years, and Fabian Schär and Jamal Lascelles were playing together, and they've been playing together since that PSG game. Some incredible results, some of the best results in this club's history, recent history in particular, and Jamal Lascelles has been a big part of that. There's been some questioning recently of saying, oh, is he quite of a level? And you know what, today he was my man of the match. I think he won everything. These games suit him with a little bit of needle, the physical battle. It's the type of games that the likes of Wilson and Lascelles in this squad really enjoy, that kind of performance. And Lascelles really stood up. A real skipper's performance. Dom, you've got a little bit of... You want to tell that little story? Or are you not allowed?
It's on that embargo.
It
is. There's a good Jamal Lascelles story out on the Shields Gazette Monday morning, so check it out. He basically speaks about the standards, and what it boils down to, I'll say, is Arsenal being sore losers, really, which isn't the first time we've said that. It's obviously a bit of a contentious one. We saw the 0-0 at the Emirates last season. When things don't go their way, Arsenal, they do throw the toys out the pram, and fair enough, they've been victims of a harsh decision today. Mikel Arteta after the game was absolutely apoplectic, saying it was a disgrace. He was embarrassed by Anthony Gordon's goal, which, I mean, it lasted about 3 minutes, his post-match press conference, and all he talked about was how embarrassed, and he said, it makes me feel sick or something like that, which is just like, it's explosive rant from the Arsenal boss. And was it a goal? I don't know.
Look,
don't know,
what I'm gonna do is, towards the end of this video, we'll go through I think there's 3 key talking points in this game. Right. We'll go through each one of them. Oh, sorry, Jordan.
I'll say when you talk about the Arteta press comments, because I've got something to say on it.
Yeah, so I was going to go on about Arteta, and I think maybe up there with Jurgen Klopp and Eric Ten Hag, but I can't think of any less likeable managers in the Premier League. The guy, I think Arsenal's petulant, petty, niggling performance, that comes from the manager and his manners and the way that he sets his team up and the levels that he sets of discipline in his team. There's always a niggle here when he comes to this place, and when Newcastle United play against them, there's always bother between the benches. I think Eddie Howe summed it up well. We'll talk about Howe first. Howe summed it up perfectly when asked by, I think it was Craig Hope of the Daily Mail. He was asked, have you spoken to Arteta? He didn't even speak, he just shook his head. And I think that shows the disdain between the two managers. He will never admit it publicly. Eddie Howe and Jason Tindall don't like Mikel Arteta, and it's very clear to see. It's so obvious that they don't like each other, and I'm pretty sure the feeling is mutual. So that'll be a really good one for Eddie Howe and Jason Tindall, who stood up for his players today. Tindall, I thought, when particularly in that Havertz one where he stood up and was giving it to Havertz for a little while. Go on, Jordan. Right, so talk about Mikel Arteta.
Yeah, so I mean, Mikel Arteta was asked 3 times. So he was calling it an absolute disgrace. So he got asked, well, what decision was an absolute disgrace? Was it the first check where it was Joe Willock ball out of play, possible ball out of play? The second check was a foul, potential foul from Joe Linton on Gabriel, and the third check was an offside for Anthony Gordon. So Arteta got asked, which of those 3 incidents in that one check were you unhappy with and you thought it was an absolute disgrace? And he couldn't answer the question. No. he just kept going, it's a disgrace, I feel sick. He didn't actually explain as to what had annoyed him so much and what part of that VAR check he was so annoyed at, because look, we can debate it now. I don't know.
Let's do it.
Yeah, well, let's go for it.
So right, I'm going to say, I'll come to you first, Dom, and then Jordan, you can have a say straight after. I want you to sort of justify what you think the decision was and clear what you think it was and why. So the first one I'll come to is the Havertz yellow card. What do you think should have been given and why?
I think it should have been a red card for Kai Havertz. He was out of control. Okay, it's his other leg that makes contact with Sean Longstaff, but it is high on the ankle, potential ankle breaker really. And the fact he's 2 foot have left the ground, he's not in control and he makes dangerous contact. I think it's serious foul play and should have been a red card. The fact the referee gives a yellow, was it a clear and obvious error? I'd say there's a bit of contention there, but I'd say it probably is and should have been a red card. I think the on-field decision definitely should have been a red card, so I think the referee made a mistake there. And I think it's almost a double blow, or triple blow you could say, where Sean Longstaff is booked for dissent on the back of that, as is Fabian Schär and Anthony Gordon. So by one reckless tackle from an Arsenal player that should have been a red card, Newcastle have been punished in the fact that the players remained on the pitch, and then they've got 3 more players booked in the first half and sort of walking on a tightrope for the rest of the game.
Jordan?
Yeah, I'm just gonna agree with Dom completely. I thought if Havertz had made contact, it's potential serious injury for Sean Longstaff, but as a direct result from that, there was a Bruno incident where he put his elbow down on
Whoa.
But I'm just saying,
we're going to come to that one in a second.
but
that's the next one.
Right, okay.
Disrupting Liam's control of
But
this.
do you want to offer your view on the Longstaff incident? Because I agree completely with that.
So we're all in agreement.
Yeah.
I think that is symptomatic of what Kai Havertz represents as a Premier League footballer. Thought it was a bottle-ass challenge.
He always causes blow when he comes in.
And he knew exactly what he'd done. His face told the story.
Yeah.
He was shocked. He thought, I'm gone. And he was even more shocked when the referee pulled yellow. It was a disgrace. It won't get looked at again because it was taken.
Did it make you feel sick?
Are you embarrassed?
I'm happy.
It's a good job. Good job.
Yeah, I'm happy. All right, so I don't think there's much more to say on that. I thought it was a bottle-ass challenge. As you've said, if he's only an inch away from catching Sean Longstaff with his leading leg, which he has all studs showing, is off the floor, out of control of his body. If he catches Sean Longstaff's ankle, which is partly planted at that moment, it is potentially a season-ending injury. It was a shocker, and he should have been red carded. He knew he should have been red carded, and they're getting away with one there. Right, second decision. Jordan, I'll come to you first because you wanted to talk about it. The one that came soon after, which was Bruno's. I'm actually not even going to call it an elbow. So it was Bruno's leading arm on a
Nice balanced view here.
Jorginho.
Yeah, so I'm sort of stealing the thunder from you here, Liam, but I think you mentioned as well, if Kai Havertz had been sent off for the Longstaff challenge, I think I might have seen Bruno walk, but I think because the Longstaff incident was contentious, I thought the referee would have caused absolute mayhem in here for the wrong reasons if he had sent Bruno off, having let Kai Havertz walk away with the yellow card.
Tom?
I agree. It was like a flying forearm, wasn't it, into the back of Jorginho. Bruno seemed to have it out for him today. He did a couple of niggly challenges and was booked by the end of the game as a result, suspended for the Bournemouth trip. But yeah, it's what Bruno, it was the sort of bite Bruno brought to the game today, and yeah, I think he was probably fortunate to stay on the pitch, but the standard was set by the referee quite early on. He was given almost nothing and then given everything, and then he set the standard by booking a player for a out of control challenge, so it set the tone really.
Yeah, it's a Jorginho's consensus, I think, on these first two decisions. I think I agree with you, Dom. He set the bar so low, high, which way around is it? I'm not really sure, but he set the bar that if Havertz wasn't a yellow, then Bruno wasn't a red, then Bruno probably isn't going to be a red either. I would actually argue, I think the Havertz one is more of a red than Bruno's. I think there isn't. I do believe there is an intention to catch the player in Bruno, but he's going to go Jorginho's going to go a long way to get injured from that kind of brutal forearm
I think
that
it's
Bruno
silly.
threw. It's silly and it's petulant and it's pathetic. Really, you shouldn't do it. He was frustrated and probably doesn't do it if the Havertz decision is the right one.
Yeah.
It was the referee losing control of the game, and the 3 bookings that came from Sean Longstaff nearly got absolutely halved and somehow ends up in the book for it. It was absolutely pathetic from Stuart Atwell. What are you laughing at? It was.
No, you were.
It genuinely was pathetic. I think he came here with an intention of letting everything go. You can't let tackles like that go. And then by the same notion, if you give Havertz a red, Bruno might get a red as well, and then it's 10 apiece, and it's a different game. He maybe didn't want to send people off, but you have to send players off for that kind of reckless, as I said, a bottomless challenge from Havertz. Look, we'll go on to the third decision. I think the third decision, before we'll probably have to discuss, I would say, the injuries and, as you mentioned, Bruno's suspension as well. I think the third one is probably going to be the hardest for us to decipher. 3 checks, almost unprecedented, I would say. I've never seen that before. 3 different checks. The first of which was for, did the ball go out of play? Second of which was for a foul, correct me if I get this wrong, and the third of which was for a potential offside. And we'll maybe come on to a check which probably could have happened, which didn't, which might have been a 4th check, which was a potential handball as well in the box from Joe Linton. Right, Dom, so try and be as concise as you possibly can when discussing this 3, otherwise we'll have a 45-minute video. The first ever, another unprecedented step for the Geordie Germans. Should it have stood? Was it a goal? Tell me why or why not.
I would have been very disappointed if Arsenal had scored that goal and it would have been allowed. If I'm being honest, I don't think it's a contentious one. I think the ball just about stays in play, just about. Joe Willock keeps it in. I think the big one for me is possibly the foul on from Joe Linton on Gabriel. He does push him in the back. Is the player going over beforehand? I think maybe he is looking for it, but the 2 hands are outstretched. I think that's a foul for me. The offside, it's a close one, but I think Anthony Gordon is onside. I think Joe Linton probably just about plays the ball in line with him, if not slightly backwards. So yeah, I don't think the goal should have stood, but it's a contentious one, it's a close one.
I'm going to say it should have stood. I thought initially I did think the ball was out of play, but I'm relying on beIN Sports as a graphic here to say that it wasn't. It was close, but I'm trusting that.
We trust your keys in grey.
Yes. Maybe not them 2 in particular, but beIN Sports as a whole, I trust you. I trust your graphic. Yeah, I mean the second incident, did Joe Linton foul Gabriel? His hands were up, but could the Arsenal defender have been stronger? I know he was being sort of shoved in the back, but should he have stood up stronger? I think Gabriel probably, in many ways, went down hoping for a foul. Wasn't strong enough. Joe Linton used his strength, power, and ultimately the ball fell to Anthony Gordon, who wasn't in an offside position. So, no, I think it should have stood. And yeah, Mikel Arteta's post-match comments, I'm not having it.
Right, come into the comments and let us know what you guys think, because it'd be really interesting. We get all of your comments that come through, whether it be to Dom, myself, or Jordan, and we'll try and get in the replies and give us justifications and your thoughts on why you think it might have been or why not, and also do the same for Bruno and Arsenal's antics. Right, my thoughts on it were, I'm still on the fence. I don't know, and I've got to be honest. No, I've got to be honest.
When you've done a soul yeah.
I have to be honest, and I don't know if it should have stood. And what I'm going to say, I'm going to talk through each one as to what I think it should be ruled out for that or not. The first one, we've seen evidence that the ball was still in, so I think the first check got it right. I think it was in. The second one, the foul, the 2 hands looks worse when it's slowed down and in still. In full play, I thought the defender was a bit weak, but I've seen them given, so that's one of them where I think could easily go against Newcastle United. The third one, the offside. Now it depends who the ball came back off and the position. I think I'm yet to really see an angle whether the goalkeeper gets ahead of Gordon, etc. I don't know.
I think he does.
I don't know with that one. I'm going to sit on the fence. And I think the fourth one, which it wasn't checked for, if it comes off Joe Linton, there are certain angles where it looks like it comes off the inside of Joe Linton's arm. Is it high enough not to have affected it? He isn't the man who scores the goal, so it isn't necessarily an instant rule out. But I think the one that it wasn't checked for could actually be the key one as to why it might well have been ruled out. Newcastle got one maybe today. Maybe they got a bit of luck. They didn't get the decision from Stuart Atwell with a Havertz. I'm not wanting Bruno sent off for that. I'm sorry. And maybe I'm just different. I see why he might have been. I'm just not. I'm going to put my head on up above the parapet there. I don't think Bruno's is a red card. I think I've seen him given. I just don't think it is. If he catches him with his elbow, it's different. And I do think there is a possible that he was trying to get involved there, but I don't think he really catches him all that much, and so I don't think it should be. But the goal itself, yeah, I think it might well have been. Right. Who knows? I'm going to stay on the fence-ish. Spelks in me backside. That's what I'm turning to the Geordie journo who doesn't give an opinion these days, which is very unbecoming. Right.
They've had a lot of bad luck to warrant some good luck today, and what I mean by that is the injury situation, which I think we should probably cap off on. So
address that. There was another couple today.
Yeah, I mean it's never end at the minute. It's Matt Target in midweek, and then you think you get a player back today, and Jacob Murphy, he comes off the bench. Obviously dislocated shoulder a few weeks ago. I've been asking anyhow all week about Jacob Murphy. Gave nothing away, but found himself in the match day squad today. Came on off the bench, and popped his shoulder out again from that dislocated shoulder he got a few weeks ago. So Eddie Howe confirmed afterwards that it looks like he's going to undergo surgery now. Did Eddie Howe mention a time frame? I can't remember.
3 months.
3 months.
He was sort of guesstimating, really. He said, I'm not sure, but around about 3 months.
Yeah.
So February,
advice.
Really.
Jacob Murphy needed some advice from Dan Burn, didn't he? How to strap that shoulder, who's been running around with a very similar injury for how long now? Probably about 3 or 4 years.
But Dan Burn.
Dan Burn's the other one.
Fell on his
Doesn't
back.
sound
It
great, does
looked
it?
a bad one from the moment it happened, going up for a header. And when Dan Burn's going up for a header, falling from that height looked nasty. He sort of struggled for the rest of the half, really, and was sort of walking awkwardly. And then he came out early, just after half time, on the bench, and Tino Livramento was stripped, ready to come on. And Eddie Howe spoke, said there's concern. It could be one way he wakes up tomorrow and feels a bit better, or it could be one way he feels a lot worse. So we'll have more answers ahead of the Dortmund game, where we'll speak to Eddie Howe in his pre-match press conference on Monday in Germany. But as Jordan's alluded to, what Eddie Howe says about injuries, we should really take with a pinch of salt. So we'll see.
We'll love him, but he's not the most straightforward, is he?
He's coy, to put it kindly, or misleading, to put it.
Misled me this week.
Honestly.
Politely misled Jordan this week on Jacob Murphy. That's how we'll leave it. Right, I don't know if there's much else. Have we got any other big talking points to discuss? Anything?
I mean, we've touched on Bruno. He's obviously out next week. 5 booking, 1 match suspension was coming a mile off. And I think today, I said during the game, I'm just speaking what I saw, I think he was playing as if he wanted to be booked. He was descent, I think was the eventual booking, but the pushes, the flying forearm, the tackling, it's part of Bruno's game, but he did take things up a noticeable notch today, and then was finally booked in the closing stages, about the 86th minute of the game. So he's out for Bournemouth. Eddie Howe said it's a big blow, but if there's any game you want to be out for, Bournemouth away, when, to be honest, as bad as Newcastle's injury situation is, we've seen Louis Miley come back, Joe Willock come back, Joe Linton come back, so the midfield isn't so bad, despite Bruno obviously being out and Sandro Tonali.
Yeah, so we'll all be there, won't we? We'll all be in Dortmund. We're all heading off tomorrow to Manchester. We'll probably try and document my journey, much like we did at the San Siro, and give you guys as much behind the scenes, travelling, etc. content as you like. welcome in the comments. Let me know what you want us to video and what kind of things you want to see from the Geordie Journos in Germany, because we will be there every step of the way, from the press conference through to the fans, being in and around the city, to the game itself. Right, like, comment, share, subscribe, click the bell, you know what to do, and it'll jump straight into your device, because the Geordie Journals are active. We're doing a lot of lives, we're doing a lot of shorts, and we'll be doing plenty of that during our trip to Dortmund as well. Thanks guys, thanks for watching, thanks for all your support, we appreciate every bit of it. Like I say, like, comment, share and subscribe.